Hit it, Zubin.
This is Penn Sunday School.
They're serious about this.
Yes, it's starting. It's already
I
happening.
can't start. My hands are wet. I can't scroll on the pad. Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn Sunday School, starring Penn Jillette. My name is Michael Godot, and Matt Donnelly is here. We are broadcasting from the Show Creator Studios in Las Vegas. This week, we're talking with the great nutritarian legend, Dr. Joel Fuhrman. His first book, Eat to Live, was on the New York Times bestseller for something like 90 weeks. We're going to talk about his newest book, The End of Heart Disease. Here he is preaching love, Mr. Penn Jillette.
Yes, preaching love. The End of Heart Disease? I thought it was fast food genocide.
What's the newest one?
The newest one is fast food genocide.
Yeah.
You read another one since 3 months ago?
The End of Heart Disease was before that, yes. That
Good
was last
Lord.
year.
This guy's cranking out stuff. What do you...
Slams out the books.
Where's it coming from?
No, it's a year later from The End of Heart Disease.
I thought it said March 2018. That's...
He's like a good stand-up. He does like a year of material.
Fast food genocide.
All right.
Yeah.
See, you got your dates wrong.
My
Your
dates.
off. Well, as anybody who listens to the show regularly knows, Dr. Joel Fuhrman is one of the people who saved our lives, I guess you could say.
Made us thin.
We were all wicked sick, and then with the help of Cray Ray and your diet, we're not wicked sick anymore. Not perfect yet.
Just wicked.
Just wicked. Just wicked. You know, we subscribe to your website, get all the recipes.
Really?
We have all that. And my wife loves doing that cooking. Emily cooks Fuhrman stuff all the time and tries just about everything you put out. So if you ever want to kill me, all you got to do is put one recipe on your website that just, this is odd. I didn't know, uranium-236 in a taco? How odd. So we thank you very much. It's been now 3 years, keeping most of the weight off within a plus or minus. Not the perfect kind of health you have, but doing okay. And when the heart disease was the same diet, right? It's always the same stuff. What changes have you made in your view about nutrition the past few years?
Maybe the changes I've done personally is try to eat a lighter dinner, finish dinner earlier in the day so I can go to sleep on an empty stomach. I think it's important to get that 13-hour window of no food coming in between the end of dinner and the start of breakfast.
I do 23 hours every day.
You really do? You just eat once a day?
Yeah.
Oh, so for myself, I'm trying not to eat at night, to go to bed on an empty stomach. Sometimes even throw in a lower calorie dinner or just a glass of juice for dinner, so I'm going to bed leaving a drop hungry, just a little bit of natural, under eating a little bit once in a while, you know what I mean?
If I had my druthers, I would go to bed with an absolutely full stomach and then not eat again until I was going to bed again. You don't like that.
Because, it's better not to have food in your stomach when you're sleeping at night.
I know, but for some reason, and Cray Ray says it's my lifestyle in terms of how far I've thrown off my clock.
Right.
Because I go to sleep at 2 a.m.
Right, that's your schedule for your work.
Yeah. And I would go to sleep earlier, but the audience would eventually complain. If I was dozing off at 9:30, it'd be like, motherfucker. It was good for a while. That first half hour was great. Then he kind of winds down, the melatonin hits, and he's just kind of dozing off in the chair. It wasn't exactly what I expected. Next time, we're seeing love. That's about the Beatles, and they stay awake. So I go to sleep about 2, and Cray Ray thinks that the circadian rhythms are so screwed up that my eating and so on will never come into line. And once, because my crazy schedule, 14 years ago, I took 6 days off, which is the longest I've taken off in my adult life. Wow. 6 days off 13 to 14 years ago. And my schedule went instantly to getting up at 6 a.m. and going to sleep when it got dark. Instantly.
That's really close to what mine is.
You have to artificially make your world fit that schedule, which means make your room very dark, so when it gets to be 6 or 7 in the morning, it's completely black.
I do that, I do that.
And then when you eventually get up late, then be exposed to light and get out there in light. And
I still like to, I can't once in a while hit a groove where I can go to bed hungry, but it's very hard for me. There's just all sorts of vibe.
Well, you're doing the best you can, so that's not as. The most important thing for slowing aging and promoting longevity, I mean, the whole secret to long life, is moderate caloric restriction in an environment of micronutrient excellence. There's nothing else that is as effective as prolonging lifespan as eating just under-eating just a hair. Be careful not to consume excess calories, but making sure the foods you are putting in your body are micronutrient rich, are rich in the full spectrum of phytochemicals, the thousands of all these different colors and rich natural foods, and try to, because then it suppresses your appetite, you're eating a lot of nutrients in bulk, and just, don't waste empty calories into your body and waste eating food on junk.
I'll tell you, it's incredible. I mean, what was billboarded to me after we did 3 months of our very, very strict diet was that my tastes and my habits would change. And I really was shocked by foods that I did not like, I then liked, and foods that I used to crave, I no longer craved. I mean, people eating pizza and that stuff around me, it's really not a bother anymore.
That's right. We love the food we are eating, and as you know, I think the food I'm eating is the greatest tasting food. Because your body gets used to it. Your taste buds get stronger, your smell gets stronger, and I'll take an ice cream made with a frozen banana with some real vanilla bean powder with a couple of macadamia nuts over some conventional thing that can taste the chemicals and it's so overly sweetened, and we know. And then emotionally and intellectually, it's good for you, so you can enjoy it more.
Yeah.
And why worry about having heart attacks and strokes and getting cancer when those diseases are preventable?
What I asked Cray Ray when I first started my diet was, I said, one of the things I want the most is to not read certain articles in the New York Times and cringe. Because I read articles because I've never drank alcohol in my life and I've never had any drugs. I read articles on alcoholism and opiate addiction, and I have compassion and empathy, but no clawing worry. I used to, when I read articles about being wicked fat and how America was all too fat, I'd always go, oh gee, and eating bad food. Now I don't have to do that anymore. I feel much better about that. I am not as pure as you. My favorite, and this was the last time he was on the show, I don't know if you remember this, when I asked you if you'd ever gone to McDonald's, and you said once you bought a bottle of water there and you didn't feel good about it. I don't know if you remember that answer. It made me laugh so much. Yeah, bought a bottle of water, didn't feel good about it. I'll tell you though, and you probably have a lot to say about this. My children are just turned 12 and 13. Getting them to eat not an American diet is so difficult. The PR that's out there, the advertising, and the peer group, it's just banishing pizza seems impossible. I try to show them with, I know that seeing me eat properly is a big help for them, and they will try it occasionally. But man, that's hard. You must have people that successfully keep their children eating perfectly, right?
Well, I don't know about perfectly, but I know that they're perfect in their home.
Yeah.
The parents keep the home very healthy, and that's what I recommend strongly. So when they come home, there's nothing to eat except healthy, good tasting, healthy food. And if they're out of the house, they're with friends, and they choose that. That's their choice.
Yeah.
So don't. But my 4 children, I would say, eat very healthfully. My girls, who are now in their 20s, have got eating healthier and healthier as they got older too. Because when they were in teenage years in high school, maybe they were in cheerleading and whatever they're doing, they're being tempted with their friends, but then they get out of that and they're back to eating healthy again. They love this way of eating the most, and they feel the best. They feel the best when they eat this way too.
You can't do an hour soccer practice without 4 people bringing cupcakes and cookies. It's like every single child is climbing Everest. There's this huge amount of food that's just around all the time.
That's what my mission here is, because people understand that these foods cause cancer and heart disease and dementia. Some people do, but they don't know that 1 in 5 Americans are mentally ill. They don't know that, compared to 1 in 100 Americans mentally ill 100 years ago. But the point is that these fast foods, these processed foods, the commercial baked goods, the junk foods you're talking about, are linked to depression, anger, violence, mental illness. It lowers intelligence. They lower creativity. We have a population of Americans that have clouded thinking due to their foods they're putting in their body.
But he also You also know that, especially in biology, I mean, even in physics, but especially in biology, cause and effect is so difficult to get to, especially on diet. I mean, I just read an article. They're doing salt studies on prisoners. Did you read that article? They're doing. They're finally trying to see if they can do some diet studies on prisoners to actually have control over what a group of people eat.
Lie.
Because in the past 20 years. Fast food consumption has gone up through the roof, and yet violence has gone down. We have that. There's a reverse correlation there. I mean,
well, we have more people using addictive substances.
We certainly do.
We have more people committing suicide and becoming depressed.
Oh, suicide is the thing now.
That's right. And there's a link here in the medical literature. There's been a strong link between depression and fast food consumption and processed food and commercial baked goods.
And how do they do that? How do they get that? How do they tease out that information with so many variables?
Because they look at all the variables, and they say there's a stronger link that, in other words, lack of parenting, bad parenting, emotional abuse as a childhood, living in a home where you have no parents, like an orphanage, or poverty, are not as strongly related to depression as is candy consumption and processed. Oh, we're talking about processed food consumption, but there's also a strong link between candy consumption and illegal drug use and drug abuse later in life, and that's a very strong link as well.
Really?
In the scientific literature. And that when you're bringing these donuts and candies to your kids at soccer games, you're potentially these foods are addicting, and this is not there's no scientific debate about this. There's high sugars affecting the brain and how addicting, and it affects the dopamine receptors, and all the things going on.
And how are you defining addictive? That's such when we did bullshit. We were writing bullshit. We tried to do stuff in addiction and found that word was so difficult.
It's too
to define.
widely used.
I'm using it specifically to mean two things. One is that when you take the substance, the cocaine or the caffeine or whatever it is you're taking, it stimulates a tremendous amount of dopamine released in the brain, and you could become dopamine insensitive, and you don't feel well unless you constantly supply excessive calories because you're overstimulated dopamine receptors so much, number one, which is the same way opiates make you addicted. And number two, when you try to stop the fast food or stop the caffeine or the tobacco or the nicotine, you feel ill. You feel shaky, weak, fatigued, and you feel lousy, and you want to eat food because it makes you feel better again. So what I'm saying right now, it has the high and it has the low. And Americans can't stop eating. If they stop eating for 3 or 4 hours, they start to feel shaky, weak, headachy, and stomach cramping. They think that's hunger.
Yeah, I used to think, either there was that whole, and we all know people like that, if they don't eat for 2 hours. And since I've been on a much better diet, I go, I haven't eaten since yesterday now, and there's none of the shaky and headachy.
Right, yeah.
And I used to get that bad, remember?
Yeah.
When we were working on bullshit, it was like, feed Penn.
We carry stuff around in our pockets for you.
Scooby snacks.
That's right. The worse your diet is, the more uncomfortable you feel, like you have to overconsume calories and keep the calories coming in because you don't tolerate how you feel when you're not digesting food.
Now, the way Cray Ray explained that to me was that you're regulating, and I'm probably mangling this idea, but you're regulating your blood sugar with your mouth instead of with your liver. Is that you're not really trying to keep your blood sugar up by eating instead of letting your body do it with another level? Doesn't ring any bells?
That's not what's happening.
What's happening? Why do you get that? Why do you get that feeling of panic?
Because the liver has a lot of roles to play. It has to process the food and store it. And when you're eating food, it shuts down a massive amount of detoxification because the liver has to be responsible for getting rid of excess amino acids, excess protein, turning the protein into nitrogenous waste like urea and uric acid, and ammonia can be very toxic to the brain, make you feel confused, and even make you feel psychotic if you have bad liver from alcoholism. So what I'm talking here is the liver has to remove those toxins and make it so the kidney can excrete them. It has to store glycogen. It has to do all these things. But when you stop eating is when you have enhanced detoxification occurs. So your body can get rid of advanced glycation end products, remove urea more. So we're saying that when people on opiates, they stop the opiates, they feel uncomfortable. When you put the opiates back on, the body can't get rid of it. It's removing the toxins that make you feel more uncomfortable. When you stop the caffeine, when you're drinking 10 cups of coffee a day and you stop caffeine, that's when you feel the shakes. If you put the caffeine in, the body's...
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I used to drink diet sodas.
Right, so the same thing is with the fast food. The body, the detoxification, the discomfort is a form of detox, which means a right-directed activity trying to repair the damage from the unhealthy diet, which builds up more toxic metabolites like advanced glycation end products and urea diarrhea and ammonia and the other factors we can talk about. But the point is that when you don't eat and the liver's not busy assimilating foods in, it can more effectively detoxify and do its job, and that's when people feel ill, when their body is full of toxic material. When they're healthy, they don't feel bad when the liver's in a non-feeding state.
And when I'm not eating now for 24 or 30 hours, and I don't feel
ill. You don't feel ill anymore.
Ill.
Right.
And yet, when I was eating badly, you're saying that it was because the body was trying to process the stuff out, and that's why I would eat more to
stop the process from coming out.
Yeah.
So So I'm saying that it's called the anabolic phase when you're eating and digesting.
Mm-hmm.
The catabolic phase is when you're in the process of living off of the stored calories on your body, and the body can more effectively repair and heal in the catabolic phase when you're not digesting. That's why you want to sleep on an empty stomach, so when your brain can remove free radicals when you're sleeping at night, it's not busy digesting at the same time. So the more you live in the catabolic phase, the longer you live. We're not supposed to be putting food in our body 24 hours a day, but when you're on
We're supposed to be trying to and failing.
But people,
right? I mean, that's what we would have been doing 500 years ago.
They can't help but eat all the time because that's the way they have to feel okay, and it keeps the whole population overweight. And it's a form of addiction. It's a form of addiction because they can't handle the detox that occurs when they don't eat food.
So when you put it, when you put it that way, when you put it in terms like you keep describing this as such a powerful chemical, like very like major brain activity thing, man, that makes like willpower and other things like that sound so daunting or fruitless. So like when you're talking about that, like sure, no one's going to disagree that we have the American diet wrong, but what then if it's this severe? It seems like it's going to take a lot more than what we're doing.
How are we going to beat it?
Yeah.
What can we do to beat it? Because we're programmed to not.
You're right. That's why most studies show that people lose weight or people on diets don't succeed long term because their body is programmed to overeat, and willpower can't overwhelm these biological drives in the brain and the body that want to make you keep overeating food. That's why people need to be so highly educated in this information. They need motivation, they need education, they need support. It's just like coming off of alcohol or tobacco or drugs. You need support. You need to let the person know that there's going to be some difficulty involved, and they're going to feel ill for a week or so, but they got it, and they can't let these drives and just eat based on how they feel, and they need emotional support and intellectual support to get through the withdrawal. And if they stick with this long term, don't decide what you want to eat. Let me decide that for you. And even if you don't like it right now, you're going to like it. Your taste will change. You'll feel a lot better. Everything's going to happen right if you just stick with it. We got to give them information can enable people to succeed. And as you know, I have literally, due to my television shows on PBS and my 6 best-selling books, New York Times best-selling books, I have thousands of people that have lost hundreds of pounds and have gotten rid of their high blood pressure, gotten rid of their diabetes, gotten rid of their high blood pressure, gotten rid of their heart disease, reversed their diseases. But they got to learn a lot. They got to become an expert. They got to learn a lot of information to do this right. It's not that easy.
Three
what?
3 best-selling books is all I had.
Let's finish it out.
Well, you know what? I actually have a new invention, and this is the steak patch. Stick it on, and it helps you through that difficult period when you're not eating steak, like stopping cigarettes, like the patch.
It is really remarkable that after it was really kind of sort of 3 months that I did eating very, very, very restricted, which meant not only away from my usual diet, but also no nuts and no fruit, and very limited and very monotonous diet. But after that, it gets fairly easy.
And that's right. Whether you had a diet,
still hard on the road. Still hard on the road.
That's right. Whether you had a diet that strict, it was made not as strict. You still need that period of time. It's like if you were a drug addict and they put you in a rehab center to get off cocaine or heroin, they would put you away for 12 weeks so you could get withdrawal done and you could not be so attracted to. Right. It's the same thing with food. People need a safe environment for a couple of months to get rid of that tendency to want to keep putting food in their body because they are attracted to these things like an addiction. But once that's left you for a long time, it makes it much easier.
Much easier.
And your taste buds have improved, and you don't have that strong attraction to want to put in the junk in all the time.
But I still disagree with you on hot sauce. I still like a little bit of cayenne on stuff. I like things spicy.
Well, we have different tastes, but that's fine. You can have a different taste than me. I don't like things that are that hot, but that's fine that you do.
The size. You don't even know this. I can give you information, Dr. Know-It-All. Okay. Do you know they sell Tabasco in gallon jugs? I bet you didn't.
I bet I could guess that's true.
And I bet you know who in this room owns one of those gallon jugs. But I had and I'm thinking about this fairly seriously. So this is where I really want to go on this, because I think you know an awful lot about this. But my blood pressure, although it improved tremendously, it is still on the high side, and I'm still on a couple of small medications for it. And my diet is not going to get considerably better than it is now. It's very, very good. So I've been thinking, now you've done a lot of experience with fasting, right?
Right.
And I've been told by Dr. Clapper, who is a buddy of yours.
Yes,
I
a friend of mine, yes.
Yeah. He says that a serious fast might just knock out my high blood pressure for once and for all, kind of, if I stay on a good diet after that.
Correct.
All that's
Yes,
assumed.
it could accelerate the progress.
Yeah. Do you agree with that? That
Yes.
I probably did that?
Yes, I do. Sometimes your sympathetic tone is elevated. You've had so many years of high blood pressure that even though you no longer have juvenile plaque and soft plaque, you still have made some calcifications and hardened blood vessels in your system. And to really get to the next level of where your blood pressure can go down, you may need to do some fasting.
Well, it's been 58 years of pretty
eating
bad
eating
eating.
bad, right. So, so it just
expecting to turn it around in 3 seems a bit tough.
Exactly. It may just be that it will eventually get better, but probably doing the judicious use of some fasting into your program may enable you to
Now,
get your
you've
blood
done
pressure
some
down.
long-term fasts, right?
I have, yeah.
And maybe too long? How long did you do longest?
I don't like to tell people that because when I
You
was
don't want people to do it, sure.
right, I don't want people to do it. I almost died doing it because I'm 20 years old. I couldn't walk. I was on the United States World Figure Skating team, and I was ranked number 1 in the country in pair skating with my sister. And I wanted to be able to compete again and get to the Olympics. And my foot had a calcifications, and I fasted a long time. It didn't help me get better. I mean, it helped me get better, but I was so weak and debilitated from the fast, I couldn't get back into the high level competition. I came in 4th in the United States that year when the top 3 went to the Olympics because I had fasted so long. I couldn't get my strength back in time to perform my best. I couldn't. My stamina wasn't as good after all that fasting. So I fasted to absorb the calcifications in my foot and to see if I could stimulate healing. But they fasted me way too long, almost to the period of death. So I didn't eat. First, I didn't eat for 10 days on just water, and I was going to NYU at the time. And then I ate for a week and went to Texas to Dr. Shelton's health school in San Antonio, Texas, and they fasted me for 36 days on just water.
Whoa!
So I fasted for 46 days at the age of 20 years old. I dropped from 150 pounds to like 90 pounds.
Ooh.
And I left there just barely alive, and I tried to get back into sports again, but it took me a long time to build my strength back up to 140, 150 pounds. I didn't get my strength back for maybe years later even, and it really ruined my chance to be in the Olympics. Not that I would have been in the Olympics anyway with my bad injury, but so the point is it was I do think fasting has its uses.
Now, what have you
I don't think fasting that long is good to do.
Oh, no, that's a really long time.
Yeah, you
can go in the desert and start a religion with that.
Yeah, and
But,
you could die from it too.
Yeah. What do you say is a good amount of fasting time? I know Clapper says 14, 21 days. A lot of times. Does that seem long to you or shorter?
It seems a little long. I want to err on the side of caution here. A lot of my patients with bowel disease and inflammatory bowel autoimmune disease, I have them fast 3 to 4 days per month, and it really helps them a lot.
So that's water only, right?
Water only, yeah. So
well, it's actually water and maple fudge. That's all you eat for that amount of time. You can have,
and not so much water.
Yeah, mostly
maple fudge.
You have to make sure you have about 1.5 pounds of maple walnut fudge, along with the water. That's considered a water fast. No,
but
just
most
water.
people, even people who are even people who are relatively thin, can handle 2 weeks of fasting. The problem is you lose potassium, and some people after 11 or 12 days, their potassium can drop too low. So by fasting a week or less, you almost never get the potassium dropping that low. It's much safer.
But
and we don't. And Dr. Clapper was at a facility no longer where they do medically supervised fastings. They're checking people's blood tests and they're making sure that it's safe for them to fast that long. So generally speaking, we're not recommending people fast that long without medical supervision.
Clapper says very, very clearly, if you are going to do over 3 days, you need full medical supervision.
Correct.
And if I do this, I will be doing it probably with Dr. Clapper by my side.
He's not there anymore doing that.
No.
He
we
left.
will be somewhere else.
Okay.
He's talking about coming to Vegas and maybe
he'd come to Vegas.
Yeah, we're talking about maybe doing that.
That's different.
And we would do it all. We would do it all properly. But since we are doing a podcast, it is we have to make that very, very clear that fasting is dangerous, serious, no kidding medical procedure. But one thing I want to ask you is, I know a little bit from when we did the mono diet with potatoes.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about when hunger goes away.
Right.
If you're asking someone to do 3 days a month, aren't you asking them to do just the hunger? Because after 3 days, it gets easier, doesn't it?
After 2 days, it gets easier. But you know what? When you're eating so healthfully prior to the fast, hunger is not so strong and uncomfortable as it is for regular people eating conventional food.
Right.
Hunger is a mild sensation. It's not so bad to be hungry one night, and usually by the next
We joke that that's our superpower now.
Yeah, it's a super. By the next day you wake up, you maybe have a little hunger left. It's not that bad.
Well, I think I might have told you this last time, but just about the time I'd gotten down to my target weight, I went on Jeopardy. And I was really, I realized that morning when I got up to go on Jeopardy that if this had been a couple years earlier, that would have been, I'm going to go on this show. I really got to think. I really got to be focused. I'm going to have a nice, full, probably astronaut's breakfast, right? Steak and eggs and hash browns and orange juice, and I'll be all ready to go so I don't have a moment of hunger on the show. And I got up and realized that I wasn't going to eat it all, and I hadn't eaten much the day before, and I was going to go in hungry. And I got there, and three people are going to be contestants on Jeopardy. 3 people. And they had a huge bowl of scrambled eggs. They had bagels, they had cream cheese, they had fruit, and they had donuts for everybody. And I watched the other 2 people eating all this food, piling up their plates, eating all this food, and I went, motherfucker, I'm winning. This is so easy. I am so focused now, and they are so kind of, let me have some more mashed potato.
You know, full cheetahs don't run as fast.
So, by the way, I won on Jeopardy.
That's true. It should be noted that.
I just want to make sure that's underlined
I
there.
think I knew that.
But only 3 bestsellers, not 6. But I won Jeopardy.
Dr. Fuhrman, how many times have you won Jeopardy?
I've never been on Jeopardy.
Exactly my point. Okay, that counts for 3 bestsellers.
Come on.
Doesn't it?
I think we're even.
But I would have had no bestsellers if I didn't have the opportunity to be on public television talking about health on television. That made that's what makes it.
And so many people have been helped by your diet. It's extraordinary.
What a blessing to have so many people send me their emails and photos. And even today I'm speaking in Vegas at a health conference, and so many people come up to me and say I saved their life.
Yeah.
It's so rewarding.
Heart pains, and went into the hospital, and they right away knocked me down and stuck a camera up inside my heart. And went, wow, your arteries are really clear. Turns out I had myocardial bridging, which is that one of the veins is on the outside instead of on the inside of my heart. And so that was pressing on it somehow. But it was great to have them go, wow, how old are you?
But tell them about the heart healthy breakfast.
Yeah, then the next day I come in for heart healthy. I'm in the hospital. They're going to keep me overnight to watch me, and they bring in scrambled eggs and bacon. So here's your heart healthy breakfast. Like, are you trying to kill me?
I guess more business for the hospital.
We had to sneak healthy food into the hospital.
It's just insanity.
I wanted to talk to you about this a little bit, which is not really your area of expertise, and that's one of the reasons I so much want to hear you talk about it. Michael Pollan, whose new book is called Changing Your Mind, and it's about experiments with psychedelics. Now, no one has a more strong anti-drug stance than I do, but I'm friends with Sam Harris, who you probably know of, and he got me meditating and doing all of this. And one of the things they say in this book is that some of the mental states that lead to a kind of calmness and a kind of more calm lack of an ego state, or lack of I, as they call it. They talk about, once again, with medical supervision and people who are experiencing extreme depression and so on, they find microdosing or dosing with LSD or psilocybin has been helpful. But in all the stuff, parenthetically, they say over and over again, this can also be done with meditation and especially with fasting. Did you find, with the people you've brought through medical fasts, any sort of mental personality changes for the better that they get with the fasting, besides just the physical stuff?
Yes, but keep in mind that I see people get well from depression just from eating right. and getting the right fatty acids and getting the right nutrients and getting out in the sun and doing all the right things. They don't need medication. Sometimes we give them a little saffron, which helps elevate their serotonin, and sometimes a little 5-HTP at night. And I really have...
I don't know what the 5-HTP...
5-hydroxytryptophan.
Oh, yeah.
5-hydroxytryptophan is like a...
What they call the turkey drug?
Yeah, exactly, a serotonin precursor with a little saffron. So we have, with the combination between the EPA supplementation, like a little bit of the EPA and DHA, or like fish oil, with a healthy diet, the brain, people understand how the body and their liver and their kidney can get bad and their heart can get bad from bad eating. They don't see the brain is caused by bad eating too. But so the answer to your question is, yeah, people on the early stages of the fasts sometimes feel a little bit euphoric and feel better, and part of it's probably not putting junk in their body anymore. Because the junk food puts a level of depresses your mood. And then later stages of the fast, they fast too long, the brain can get dried out, can get a little dehydrated, and they could start to be a little bit paranoia. So it could be too much fasting can interfere with your brain function too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It can have negative effects.
I wasn't talking about really interfering with it, but just Clapper also talks about, I guess I don't mean to be disrespectful, Dr. Clapper, talks a little bit about how there's a kind of calm that he often finds after 14 days, a kind of sweetness, a kind of gentleness, and a kind of not euphoria, but a much gentler feeling.
Well, you're very weak at that point.
Yeah,
you're very weak. And you can't even concentrate on doing your work. So you just kind of like zone out like a bear hibernating in the woods most of the day. So at that point, I don't know what that is, but it's probably that you're just mentally, your body's conserving energies, and you're just like kind of like zoned out.
Now you don't usually do you just mentioned fish oil. You don't usually do the strictly vegan thing, do you? How much for you personally? How many animal products do you eat?
I rarely eat animal products
of any kind.
Right, but occasionally I have had something, but not on a regular basis.
So how do you justify then the fish oil? Is it?
I use fish oil with people with depression because because even the vegan EPA and DHA becomes too expensive in the high dose I want them to take. I can give them an EPA and DHA that's vegan, that's made from algae versus one that's made from fish. But to take the high dose when they're depressed, it's usually prohibitively expensive, so the fish oil's cheaper.
How expensive would be prohibitively expensive?
Well, like let's say if the bottle costs $40, instead of it lasting for 2 months, you're going to use it up in 10 days. If you have depression, I want to give a high dose. So I can give them, for that same price, I can give them a 3-month supply of fish oil. I want to give them, so when they're depressed, I want to give them something like 500 to 700 of EPA. That's like 3, so instead of taking 3 fish oils, they need to take like almost, a third of the bottle of the DHA. So you don't need much DHA and EPA when you're healthy. A little bit keeps your brain in perfect tune. But when these people are depressed, they're usually deficient for a long time. They have other things going on. It's shown in this medical studies that giving a higher dose to get them out of depression faster is helpful. So that, so I don't usually take fish oil, but I do take DHA and EPA and DHA. I take an algae oil.
So I was going to say, what supplements do you take as a full-time?
I produce a supplement that I make myself, or I have made for myself by a company.
In your kitchen?
Yeah. At a facility that's, in one of those GPA certified facilities, because I'm making a supplement with less ingredients in it for people who already eat healthy, and I particularly don't want people to take folic acid because that can increase the risk of breast cancer and prostate cancer. So I'm giving people what a vegan might need, which is vitamin. When the liver needs a little DHA, but an extra hefty dose of B12, because B12 is low on a vegan diet. A little bit of zinc, a little K2, a little iodine, and you can get iodine from salt. When I don't use salt in my diet, or you could use seaweed or kelp, but I don't really do that regularly. So I put a little iodine in there, and so it's. So the point is, once you're taking the B12. The iodine, the zinc, the vitamin D, and a little bit DPA and DHA, you're taking what you could have potentially been low on had you been on not eating any animal products, to just make sure there's no potential from anybody getting
now those are those little capsules, right? I think
the DHA usually comes in little capsules. Mine comes in a bottle that's glass with a dropper for 2 reasons.
Oh, yeah, because I take some Fuhrman pill every day, the capsule that has...
That's probably the multivitamin I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But then the DHA, because we keep it refrigerated in a dark glass bottle, so it keeps it fresher. There are other brands, but our difference of ours is we just keep it refrigerated so it stays fresher. And so most of the vegans take that because they don't want to take fish oil, and they rather have a vegan source of the DHA. And because there's some studies that show that with the brain shrinkage in later life can occur if you're if you're DHA deficient for many years, and about a percent of vegans don't know about this, and they're taking a chance with potential dementia or depression from DHA deficiency if they're not supplementing. Not all vegans, because some people have enough conversion enzyme to make enough DHA from the ALA, from walnuts and flax seeds, but other people don't. It's very genetically
Right.
Very a lot
Is
of
there
genetic
some way to
differences.
determine that? Can you do the testing on it? Or
Yes, you can do a blood test. You can take
That'll tell you.
That'll tell your EPA, your DHA, EPA index, your omega-3 index, and if it's
Right.
below 4, you should take something. If it's above 5 or 6, you probably can do. We don't have to take it.
Yeah, well, I like walnuts.
Yeah.
And also, Brazil nuts are kind of magic too, right? What do they have in them?
Well, they're very, very high in selenium, so you
Yeah,
shouldn't have
that's
that many of them because you can overdose selenium.
You
with that.
can?
Yeah, you can
overdose.
You can overdose with too much selenium.
supposed to
Brazil nuts?
You can overdose on Brazil
I
nuts.
love Brazil nuts.
How much do you eat? Brazil nuts.
Oh, I don't know, not more than 4 or 5 pounds a day. No, but I mean, I will have occasionally a handful of Brazil nuts.
They're really
Occasionally. You don't
small
have- you're not
study.
having a lot of them every day. You're just having occasionally some Brazil
The
nuts.
study that just came out said like 5 a month.
Well, that's for being good.
Yes.
We're talking about how many for being
How
bad.
many can you eat? Yeah, okay.
If you're on a maple walnut fast,
You could replace the walnut with Brazil nuts.
I tell you, my downfall, and we all know this, right? The if you turn into a pretty much a nutritarian diet,
Right.
the thing that you will crave the most is peanut butter. Is that true for everybody? I know for Cray Ray and me, if you get me
Me
near
too, yeah.
peanut butter, I will eat any amount of peanut butter to get my hand on.
Really?
Yeah.
To knock me down, yeah.
You don't like peanut butter that much?
I do like peanut. I like all kinds of nut butters.
Yeah.
But I make a great Thai sauce for the vegetables by putting in a little hemp seeds and a little peanut butter with the lemongrass.
Yeah, sure.
A lemongrass paste, a little curry, a little turmeric in there, and I make a little date in there to sweeten it. I make a fantastic sauce for the vegetables with
Yeah.
a little peanut butter and little hemp seeds blended in there.
This is stuff. That's stuff that my wife cooks. The hard part, of course, is being on the road. Now you're on the road. You're
All
in
the
Vegas.
time.
What are you speaking about here in Vegas now?
I finished the conference already.
And what was it? What were the subject of your?
Well, the
talk?
first subject was fast food genocide. The second subject was how to get rid of food addictions and keep the weight off forever and lose your weight and keep it off for the rest of your life. That was what I was speaking about. Sometimes I speak about reversing, living to 100 in great health is a typical lecture I give. But these lectures were particularly about not going on and off these fad diets and learning how to get rid of food addiction and stay with eating healthy for the rest of your life. Anything you do temporarily, you know long-term benefit. You got to make the diet change and make it change forever.
And really, as though we don't want to say this that much, but what you eat chronically is what makes the really big difference. Having a bad meal
Right.
once in a while is not going to kill you, but boy, the chronic stuff, having a muffin every day is the bad thing.
Right, and any change you make to try to lose weight is no benefit unless you maintain that same. In other words, you got to keep doing it forever. The weight comes back.
Yeah.
So you got to eat health. So the point is, I'm trying to motivate people to eat to not to get dementia, to eat to not to get cancer, to eat to not to get heart disease, and the side effect is weight loss, achieving a favorable weight. So we have to wrap in losing weight and looking good and aging slower with eating for health, long-term good health. Anything else does not work.
Now you're on the road all the time. So what do you eat when you're on the road? How do you eat?
I go right off the plane before I come to my hotel room. I go straight to Whole Foods Market, and I buy a salad bar with beans on top. I get a bag of frozen artichokes. I got a bag of frozen jackfruit. I get a bag of frozen blueberries. I get frozen peas, and I got frozen broccoli. I let it defrost on my shelf. I got 25 apricots.
You just put it in your room.
Pantry?
Yeah, most hotel rooms have little refrigerators in them.
Sure.
So I keep. So I'll get. So some of the frozen food I'll leave out of the refrigerator just to defrost. And then once it's defrosted, I'll put it in the refrigerator so I can just open the bag and eat it whenever
And you
I
just
feel
eat
like
your
it.
frozen artichokes just out of there.
I love frozen artichokes.
Like artichoke popsicles?
Artichoke hearts. They're I just love it. I eat a whole bag of frozen artichokes. I love it.
When they're frozen?
No, they've defrosted them.
I know, but I mean, do you eat them when they're still kind of wicked cold?
No.
You don't go to room temperature. What temperature are your artichokes, sir?
They've already been defrosted. I'm
Cooperate.
So they're refrigerated but not frozen.
But if you're playing a one-nighter or whatever you call it when you give a speech, you're not there long enough for your artichokes to defrost. Boy, it sounds like we're speaking in code.
It does. It does.
What are you talking
I've seen
about?
his defrosted artichokes, and I got to tell you.
Okay,
I bet you don't get talked like this on PBS.
you're gonna you're going to land in Houston, okay?
Yeah.
You get a gig tomorrow night in Houston. This was me last week, okay? You get off the airplane, you go to Asshole Foods, and you buy your salad, and you buy your artichokes and everything else. All I care about is the artichoke hearts because I love those so much. Then you go back to your hotel room, okay?
I don't. The next day I'll have the artichokes. That day I might have the salad bar I just got at Whole Foods.
Okay.
With the beans on
That
top.
Whole Foods
And
salad bar
They
is
have
something.
artichokes on the salad bar that are already defrosted. I'll put some of those on my salad bar.
I'm so trying to get you to say you eat frozen artichokes. I so want to do that. I want that to be my character trait. Listen, Penn's coming in. We got the rider. The rider says 4 bags of frozen artichokes kept frozen. You're damn right. Get them here. I will be in my trailer until I get my frozen artichokes.
And you know what's in season now is organic apricots at Whole Foods. You know, I have like 25 apricots in my room. So on my
How long are you here?
So, like, when you go around, right, like, you've been eating like this for a very long time.
Right, I'm 64 years old.
64.
Doesn't look a day over 14.
No, like, I always think about this, like, you know, when you engage in a friendly conversation, it's like we are atheists here, and you talk to agnostics or religious or spiritual people, and they go like, have people been that wrong for that long? And if so, that just feels so depressing. Like, when you look around, like, everywhere you drive, everywhere you go to an airport, you just see the human animal pigging out improperly on food that's going to make them...
He's walking by Cinnabons 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Right.
Watching.
6.
Is it strange? Like, the world's just a weird human zoo for you, right?
Yes, and you know, it is, and because I'm really, you know, people are being put in nursing homes, and the growing business in America is nursing homes with people having strokes that are young, between the ages of, you know, you have teenagers having strokes now. But the point is, between 30 and 60, you have a new nursing homes existing for people who stroked out from eating food. And we know we have a growing amount of all types of diabetes is happening at younger ages. We're seeing people, and it's affecting people's mentality, and they're all in a brain fog. The point I'm making right now is I'm working to give people superpowers so they can not just protect their own health, but they can reach out to their neighbors, their loved ones, their families, their communities, and try to encourage and motivate people to take better care of their health. It's just too depressing to see how sick everybody is. And I can say, in your neighborhood, how many people you know have been shot by a bullet or stabbed by a knife?
My neighborhood?
How many people you know that have had heart attacks, cancers, strokes?
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about leg amputations, kidney failure. It's just rampant through America, and we're eating ourselves to death.
And we are going to take a break now and come back on Wednesday, which for us is only like a minute away. But we're going to do this later because we've done this.
But if everyone else knows, if we had bought in frozen artichoke hearts, by Wednesday they would be thawed. And
We're going to go. We're going to go to every single thing this man eats when he's on the road. That's what you're going to look forward to Wednesday. But for right now, that was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School.
Cha cha cha.
And to our listening ears,
You become naked.
all nature sang and round us rang the music of the spheres.
So I was playing off Broadway, and they bring us food because we had 3 shows on Saturday.
Right.
And they delivered us lasagna that was frozen. And I was so hungry, I sucked on it backstage. Teller made them run out and get him other food. But I was starving. I had 2 shows to do. I was eating badly then, so I was sucking on frozen lasagna. So this is the kind of man who could eat frozen artichoke hearts.
I can't imagine doing a show after eating a whole thing of lasagna.
I didn't eat a whole thing. It's hard to eat them when they're all popsicles.
This is Penn Sunday School, and to our listening ears, all nature sings and round us rings the music of the spheres. This is Penn Sunday School.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn Sunday School, starring Penn Gillette. My name is Michael Godot, and Matt Donnelly's here. We're broadcasting from the Show Creator Studios right here in Las Vegas. We're talking again with the great ice skater and nutritarian legend, Dr. Joel Fuhrman. He's telling us about his frozen artichoke addiction and trying to keep us healthy and thin. Here he is preaching love, Mr. Penn Gillette.
You didn't think that out of all the things you were going to say, throwing out words like addiction and genocide and all these knee-jerk crazy things, that frozen artichokes was what was going to set us off. Okay, so you wrote. When'd you get into Vegas?
Thursday.
Right. So Thursday you fly in.
Right.
You stopped at a Whole Foods on the way to the hotel.
Correct.
And you bought bags of these foods. And now you just leave them in your room until they get room temperature, and then you put them in the refrigerator.
Exactly.
And then you eat them by handfuls.
Right. Well, I have a salad, and I'll pour the frozen peas that are no longer frozen on top of the salad. I'll put the artichokes on top of the salad. I'll put the whatever I bought to frost. I'll put on top of the salad. But I also bought, some cherries and apricots and some fruit, and I had nuts with me in my bag, and I had some salad dressing I took from home.
How did I not know that fruit was that good? I will tell you right now, there is, as far as I can tell, no limit to the amount of pomegranate I can eat. I can eat pomegranates that would fill the bulk of my head.
Are you eating the arils? Is that what they're called?
Yeah,
Yes,
what are
yes.
they?
Arils, yes.
Yeah. And they have
You're
them
just
all.
chewing them?
Yeah. I love them.
That's
They have them already. They take them out for you. You buy them at Whole Foods already out of the package. But sometimes they taste rotten because they've been taken out and they sat there on the shelf too long. And they're not fresh.
You know those containers?
Yeah, the little plastic containers. Yeah.
I eat 4 of those.
Really?
I'll eat 4 of those.
Wow.
And it's just the best food in the world. I just go, and I like it more than I used to like Hershey bars and stuff.
I love it. You know what I really love that people don't eat? Nobody eats? Frozen jackfruit. You buy
As
it.
you were saying, frozen jackfruit.
It's unbelievable.
What the hell?
It's unbelievable.
And you eat it frozen? I want you to eat things frozen. Please, Dr.
I
Fuhrman.
like it so much that as soon as it starts, I put it out. If 20 minutes just starts to defrost, it just gets a little bit soft. I'm eating them. They're so great.
Really?
Are they better fresh?
You know,
Or do you like them frozen better?
I like them frozen better. I'll tell you why. Because when you buy fresh jackfruit, you have to ripen it to the
1,000
right
pounds,
point.
yeah,
It's
sure.
this big fruit, and you have to make it rot in your house. And sometimes you over-ripen it or you under-ripen it, and it takes an hour and a half to take the damn thing apart.
Yeah.
Because it's so sticky and disgusting.
Sure.
So, but when you buy it frozen, everybody's done the work for you. They're just the perfect degree of ripeness. They're all delicious tasting and clean, and you're just like it's.
I've never tried it frozen. I'm gonna go right now.
We're all.
What is the secret to pears? That's what I want to
Yeah.
get to.
There's
How
no-
come pears always fuck you? You have one pear, and it's the best thing you ever had. You reach to another pear that is this sibling of
Same
the
bag.
pear. Same bag.
Same
sibling, and that pear is awful. It's either mealy.
It is always a pear is always a first date experience. It's never a second date. It's never a marriage. It's never a 1-year anniversary. It is going out for the first time with each pear.
Do you trust pears?
Well, it's not my favorite food, but I know what you're saying. When they pick too unripe, they don't get sweet enough. You got to pick them when they're a little later in the ripening process.
But even the sibling to the pear, it's in the same bag. And you go, you were so good.
I was so hoping you were going to be like, oh, just blank with the bag, and then it's always good. I was so hoping you had one of those answers.
Just dance naked with a frozen artichoke in your other hand, and all your pears will be circus pears.
I think at this we haven't gone through the basics of what Dr. Fuhrman's plan is.
Yeah.
And I think we should, for people who are listening, go through at least just the basics of it.
You know, I
Because we always talk about it like everybody knows it, and I don't know that they do.
I wrote Presto, and people read that book, and we've had. Reporting to us, we've had over 30,000 pounds that have been lost.
32,000.
Yeah,
Wow.
That have been lost from people who claim. You know, it's self-reported, so it doesn't mean it really anything, but it gives you a sense that people. And I was in Houston. Mm-hmm. And in Houston, I had one couple come up. They'd each lost over 100 pounds. Mm-hmm. Another couple came up. One of the guys had lost 40 pounds. By the time I was done, it was a 2,800 seat theater. Okay, and by the time and I posed for pictures and signed autographs, I had over 500 pounds that people said they had lost in the
Just
past
signing
year.
autographs.
Just signing autographs.
But
just from watching your magic show.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's-
The whiteboard off.
They can't eat for 90 minutes. We weigh them on the way in and the way out.
Yeah, there's no donuts in the theater. But they ask very, very much what is once I've done all this stuff stuff you talked about. What is it that I eat for the rest of my life? And I always recommend your book, which is why you've got 6 books in the New York Times bestseller. It's me recommending. But I recommend that. As a matter of fact, you go to Amazon, you buy my book. Those who bought Presto also bought.
There it is.
We're always there together.
Right.
At least in this one direction.
Yeah. From
unilateral.
entering from this way from the book.
But I say that the entire diet can be summed up in 2 words, which is whole plants. Once you want to say more than that, how do you get your diet in a nutshell, so to speak, in a Brazil nut shell?
Well, I want people to eat the full portfolio of the high anti-cancer foods in their diet to get maximum protection against cancer. So the diet is definitely vegetable, a diet that's high in micronutrients. It's high in nutrient density, and the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet are green vegetables. So I want people to eat a big salad every day. I want them to put a sign in the refrigerator that says the salad is the main dish, and at least once a day have a big salad. That's a rule. Then I want them to eat G-bombs, because G-bombs are high in, because each individual G-B-O-M-B each individual letter represents a food that individually has powerful anti-cancer and longevity-promoting effects. When you put the diet together with a full portfolio of these anti-cancer food, then the magic happens.
Well, you need to say what G-bomb stands for.
I'm going to.
Oh, yeah. You're building up.
He's a pro.
I'm sorry.
Let him go.
I'm doing
Shut
my
up.
Golf. Okay.
You guys both shut up. What did G-bomb stand for?
Greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. So did you eat your mushrooms today is the point, because did you know that mushrooms reduce risk of breast cancer in studies by 64%, women eat just 10 grams a day? We look at the studies on flax seeds, on the lignans from flax seeds. Studies show that women who had breast cancer, followed for 10 years, had a 71% decreased risk of death from breast cancer over the 10-year period compared to the group of women who didn't have lignans. We're talking about, when you look at any of these foods, they have powerful protection against cancer, and when you put a diet together that has the full portfolio of these anti-cancer foods, it doesn't just prevent cancer, they also have angiogenesis inhibiting effects, which prevents fat storage on your body. As it prevents angiogenesis, can promote cancer as well. So the anti-cancer effects also prevent fat growth on the body, and they make it harder for the body to store fat. So it's not just about eating a lot of vegetables, yes, and eating a lot of bulk in your diet. So we're eating a lot of foods that have a high, low calorie, but high micronutrient density. So it makes you feel full, makes you feel satiated. We're getting rid of the junk food, and I'm saying that the processed foods like the white flour, the bagels, the pasta, the salad, all the mayonnaise, donuts, cookies, crackers, rice cakes, breakfast bars, chips, and soft drinks, and all these things.
I like that.
These people, all the junk people are eating, give their body calories with no significant load of micronutrients. And their micronutrient deficient drives overeating and food cravings. And then they eat a lot of animal products, about the third of the American diet. And animal products
Is it really true? A third in calories?
a third in calories, yes.
Third in calories are animal products.
That's right. And that, the animal products do a lot of things to you, but one thing they do is they don't supply you with antioxidants and phytochemicals. And they're rich caloric sources, and they raise uric acid, ammonia, uremia. They raise things that are toxic and that age you faster, and they promote cellular growth and replication by raising hormones like IGF-1, insulin like growth factor 1. So a nutritarian diet is mostly plants. You could eat a little bit of animal products if you choose, but we want to hold that level to a small percent, so they're using it like a condiment as opposed to a major source of calories.
What would you use as an animal product as a condiment?
Like you can, let's say, shred a little chicken or turkey into a soup or something. Like you're putting.
Well, I'll tell you. Let me tell you something about this. When I started going nutritarian, the biggest change in me was chicken became disgusting. I cannot stomach chicken. I mean, still a steak can look a little appetizing to me.
Right.
The only thing I miss tremendously is lamb vindaloo. Lamb vindaloo and a frozen artichoke. But the other day we made some chickpea vindaloo, and it was good.
Right.
It was not lamb vindaloo good.
You know what it is? I want, even though I'd say the majority of people who follow a nutritarian diet may be on a vegan diet, but I don't want to take that group of people who will never be a vegan and throw them out in the bathwater. If you want to become a nutritarian anyway, even if you still want to eat a little bit of animal products, don't disregard the whole thing, because you still got tremendous anti-cancer and lifespan benefits, and you can still eat a little bit of animal products. Why? So I'm trying to be more inclusive.
I think that's something that, I think there's a conflict of even people who want to be healthier out there. in other words, even when you listen to you talk, I'm hearing like two different ideas. Of one is that we put so much shit into our bodies that we don't give our body a chance to take care of itself.
Right.
And then when you list all the things, the benefits of eating all these plants, it's not just about, then it feels like, oh, my body doesn't, it's not just about my body keeping crap out, but I need to get stuff in there to help fight things.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So like, and you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to figure out like, does the body know how to take care of itself, or does it need all the help?
But those are the same things.
Yeah, it needs
The
nutrients.
same thing is you want to eat different.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't forget that we're a body, we're a primate.
Yeah.
We're dependent on green vegetables for isothiocyanates and bioflavonoids and things that function, that our cells and our immune system is dependent on these nutrients to function normally. Without them, we're left with no immune armor, and you're high risk of getting pneumonia, infections, cancers. We're meant to be eating natural foods that grow in the wild, in the woods, and in nature. You have to eat some healthy food.
How do we solve the B12 issue? Would eating a hamburger a month give you enough B12, or would you rather, or is the supplement necessary, or is there a way?
You have to eat animal products every day, or you have to take a B12 supplement. Because your body needs because it only takes in a little bit at a time. It can't take a huge amount of B12. So definitely have to take B12 if you're on a vegan diet or near vegan diet.
Okay.
Which you do, don't you?
Yeah.
I do too.
But really, for some reason, I didn't find out about it until like a month ago. Somebody I knew was like having like real skin problems, and it turned out to be a B12 issue.
Right. What dressings do you put on your salad when you go to Whole Foods?
Well, I know
This is good. This is a good.
Maple walnut fudge. You heat it up, you dump it over the salad, everything's okay.
There's another an acronym for us, right?
Right. No, what salad?
An acronym.
Well, right. Making the sauces and the salad dressings are so critical as recipes because that's how do you get a wok of vegetables? You throw in broccoli and cabbage and mushrooms and onions and peppers and snow pea pods and water chestnuts and baby whatever it is, hearts of palm, and how do you make it taste good? You got to put a great sauce on it. How do you make a salad taste good? You got to put a great salad dressing. You don't want to put a junk food salad dressing made with sugar on its healthy salad.
I feel like a lot of dressings out there just sugar and oil.
Yeah, exactly. It's junk food.
And we turn our salads into junk food, and then we bitch that we don't lose weight even though we're eating salads.
Precisely. That's why I'm making healthy salad dressing. One of my typical dressings might be, if you're really quick to make, you just take a low-salt tomato sauce, throw in maybe a little bit of sunflower seeds and almonds. You can use balsamic vinegar with a few raisins, but I also often put fig vinegar with a fig or fig vinegar in there because I like the taste of fig vinegar.
Yeah.
A really good
Fig vinegar sounds like a rated G curse.
Shut up, you fig
Shut the
vinegar.
fig vinegar door.
Right. So a little vinegar, maybe. So if I'm using balsamic, it might be a little bitter. I'll put a little bit of raisin in there to cut the bitterness. But
That's not at Whole Foods.
I'm blending it in the blender with nuts and seeds instead of oils. I'm using a whole food that's really has cardiovascular benefits and great health. And don't forget, a little bit of nuts and seeds with your vegetable meal facilitates the absorption of the beneficial phytochemicals that prevent cancer. So you want a little bit of fat in the meal. Mm-hmm. But the difference between nuts and seeds and oil is that nuts and seeds bind fat and carry fat out into the toilet bowl. The sterols and stanols take some of those calories out of your body, make it not biologically available to the body. When you take the oil, it all comes in right away in a flash, right onto from your lips to your hips in 5 minutes flash. So the oil is fattening, nuts and seeds not so, and they give you much benefits. And also the sterols and stanols suck out bad cholesterol, and they put more LDL cholesterol out of your body into this toilet bowl. What I'm saying right now is they have the properties to not just take the fat from the nuts and seeds and suck them out of your body, but they actually can take fat that's in the body, in the bloodstream, suck that fat through the villi, through the capillaries and the blood vessels, into the lumen of the digestive tract, and pull that bad cholesterol out of your bloodstream and put it into the toilet bowl. So by using some nuts and seeds on your salad to make a salad dressing, you've got a lot of health benefits from that. And like I'll peel a navel orange, throw in some sesame seeds and cashews, maybe some toasted sesames with some blood orange vinegar or white wine vinegar, a splash of lemon. Mm-hmm. That's incredibly delicious. I'm going to give you a whole mess of incredibly delicious salad dressings that are going to make you love to eat salads. Walnut vinaigrettes and all kinds of stuff.
I'm happy with just regular vinegar. Vinegar is like the greatest food in the world.
And then do you have your nuts and seeds in the salad separate?
You
throw it in the salad, so you're still getting a little nuts and seeds.
Or I'll have it right afterwards. Yeah. It doesn't have to be in the exact same moment, right?
Well, no, the same moment. It's the same meal.
Chew it at the same time. So your salad dressing thing is flash, right? Isn't that the...
Flash? What do you mean?
Wasn't that it? I'm trying to remember the salad dressing recipe. Yeah.
Acronym here?
Yeah.
Well, he has a lot of different salad dressings.
I've got a zillion salad dressings. I even sell bottled salad dressings made with nuts and seeds and vinegar.
I got them, baby.
Yeah. Because some people don't want to cook and they want to just do things fast, and make it so I don't want people to have obstacles to doing this. I want to make it easy for them. There's no reason why they can't do this. And why not?
I get lazy about dressings for sure.
Yeah.
And
that's why vinegar is good to just dump it on.
Yeah, vinegar just dump on, or I just do no dressing.
You just add like 6 pounds of Brazil nuts.
No.
You got to try some of my dressings. You like them? They're great tasting.
All right, sold. There we go. Infomercial check. No, I will.
Can you bring some of the date nut pop'ems, Boris, next time?
I usually don't travel with food.
No,
He's got his frozen artichokes. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to report back to you. You're going to get an email from me. I'm going to try the frozen artichokes as frozen.
Okay.
I'm going to try them as artichoke popsicles.
I tried it.
You don't like it?
It doesn't taste very good. You're better off if you can have use the frozen jackfruit. It tastes better.
Yeah.
All right, frozen jackfruit it is.
And I will tell you, just take all the Fuhrman recipes exactly as they are and add some Tabasco and you're all set. Because Tabasco is pretty low on salt. Fairly low. It's not too bad.
Yeah, but some people can get too much spice can irritate their esophagus, and
I got a gallon jar. Haven't hit too much.
Yeah, found that. Like a running tally. How long have you had it? Were we keeping tally as how long for you to go through it?
I do. Those ketchup bottles that they used to have in old diners.
Yeah.
I do one of those by myself, full of Tabasco a month.
Ooh. Not me.
I do like the spicy food. And my children enjoy seeing how much spice Daddy. I did this. The hottest pepper is a ghost pepper, right? No, California Reaper. Carolina Reaper. Carolina Reaper is the hottest pepper. I was on a NPR show, and they had the host up there, and the host and one of the guests, a guy had come on with the peppers. They were doing the show from Arizona. It was Ask Me Another, one of those shows. And they brought on this guy with the Carolina Reaper.
Carolina Reaper.
And he cut it up, and they had it with, they had milk, and they had like whiskey or something that they could have either one of to cut it. And they did this on the radio as a big deal. And they came backstage, and I said to the guy, I like spicy stuff. And the guy said, yeah, this is the Carolina Reaper. And I said, I'd like to try some of that. And I said, he said, yeah. I said, the only problem is that I haven't eaten for 30 hours. So I've been fasting for 30 hours, so I have a pretty empty stomach. How do you think Carolina Reaper is going to go on an empty stomach? And he said, let's find out. So he cut up a good amount of it, and he said he had told the guys on the air. He said, if you get a little worried about this, just don't chew it too much, and it won't be too bad, And I said, okay, give it to me. And I want to point out something. I'm not on the radio. This is a stunt just for you and me. So with Mr. Spicy backstage, he gave me some Carolina Reaper. I don't know why I keep saying that wrong.
Yeah.
And I chopped it up, popped it in, chewed it, and I got to tell you, Dr. Fuhrman, that was spicy. It was wicked spicy, and boy, did I have this weird physical effect. I stayed really. I mean, I don't want to break your heart. I stayed very cool. You could not tell I was having any trouble. I just shrugged it off like Clint Eastwood eating a pepper. That's what I was like. Okay, but inside.
It was doing the deputy dog running around the wall.
And I felt, I did feel a bit nauseated afterwards, but I made it through. But I'm the kind of guy who can do a Carolina Reaper on a 30-hour fast, not on the radio, and get through.
God.
So tell us about the micronutrient stuff. What are they? How have they been found? How come we've missed them up until now?
Well, I mean, everybody heard of vitamins and minerals,
Yeah.
and antioxidants, and even phytochemicals or
Right.
phytonutrients. But the
And then you're bringing this whole new level of micronutrients.
well, that's what micronutrients that's what vitamins and minerals are micronutrients. Antioxidants and phytochemicals are micronutrients. The word micronutrients means those important substances we need that do not contain calories. The macronutrients are the fat, carbohydrate, protein, the bigger stuff. But what I'm saying is that every
So
strawberry
vitamin C is still a micronutrient. Okay,
But
I
the
just thought it
strawberry
was a
has
different term.
700 different phytochemicals in it that people aren't even been named yet. So we require a huge spectrum of micronutrients that people aren't getting in their diet because they're not eating the foods, the natural foods,
Right.
the full spectrum of natural foods. And that's what really gives you incredible health.
Okay. All right, so it's vitamin C. It's the ones we know. We're just calling them something different now.
Yeah.
That threw me.
I think because you don't want to. It's vitamins, minerals. Well,
Vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals. I'm saying vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and phytochemicals, but phytochemicals and some vitamins are antioxidants. So we're saying this is the non-caloric portion of food that's so important for human health. And that and the American diet is ubiquitously deficient in micronutrients.
Right. Too many calories, not enough.
Too many calories, not enough nutrients. And then we eat way too many macronutrients, fat, carbohydrate, and protein. And there's different mechanisms, be it too much fat causes problems, too much carbohydrate causes problems, and too much protein causes problems. We need to eat less calories, more high nutrient foods. So we're talking about increasing the micronutrient density of your diet.
Right.
So picking to eat foods that have more micronutrients per calorie is the secret to a longer life and better health. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
And I fortunately, even though I was wicked fat, I did not have any sort of even though my dad had diabetes at the end of his life and was made blind by it, I think by pretty much an American diet. My dad's suffering. He lost part of his foot and all the classic stuff you talk about. But I did not have the diabetes thing. I just had the crazy high blood pressure that I'm still struggling.
You may have developed diabetes eventually.
I bet I would have. Yeah, it seems pretty likely. I mean,
It's in your
it's
family.
incredible what those numbers are doing in diabetes in America now. It's just going through the roof.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and the high blood pressure are two things.
I think, as people get more educated about diet, I feel like there's a tendency to not think of it as an escalating thing. You keep speaking of it as something that's escalating, and you're citing facts about something that's escalating in the present. I think the tendency, at least maybe I'm just speaking for myself, that we've always kind of been generally a little unhealthy and uneducated, and we've never quite eaten properly. But it seems like you're pointing out that it's actually getting worse, that we're getting significantly less healthy over time with the way we eat.
Well, there is some light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, McDonald's is doing less well than it was. Fast food is doing a little less well.
There's certainly growing knowledge of people that nutrition matters more. I see it all the time.
There is
definitely a growing movement for people eating healthier. How are these places that serve juices and salad bars and all these different restaurants catering to eating more kale and salads and better foods?
But the problem is,
you're seeing that, aren't you?
A lot of these places in L.A. that are vegan and are supposed to be healthier end up being just salt and oil
Fat
with
bar.
no animal products.
Agree,
So
100%.
They're essentially Big Macs, except they don't have animal products in them.
Right. But there are a lot of these places that still even serve animal products that are giving you bigger salads, kale dishes, chopped salads.
you can get that.
You can get healthier options all around. I'm saying it's easier to eat healthier if you want to. You know what I mean?
What I haven't explored at all, because I just kind of have an aesthetic dislike of it, but you may have some. What do you think about people that do the fake junk food from other food, like people that try to make the fake chicken and the fake beef? Do you have any interest in that at all? It seems so jive to me.
I don't personally want to eat that stuff. But I can see where some people might say it's a stepping stone. It's better than eating. At least you can get used so you're not eating as much animal products, and that may be a good thing.
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't know, but I don't really like that stuff myself.
You don't want tofu dogs?
I'll tell you that I have found the first thing that went away was chicken. That became disgusting to me. I don't even like to watch people eat chicken. Turkey went away very, very quickly. Beef kind of went away. But boy, cheese is hard to lose. And cheese is where a big part of the problem is. I mean, hasn't the amount of cheese consumption in the past 20 years gotten ridiculous?
Yes, it's something like 50 pounds per person per year,
Yeah.
compared to like 1 or 2 pounds per person per year in like 1930 or something.
Yeah.
So talking about huge amounts of cheese, and we're eating 1,000 times as much soybean oil and oil on our food that we did 1,000 times as much as compared to 100 years ago. So really, we didn't have that much oil on the food oil availability, pouring calories over everything we eat, and we're told is good for us.
Yeah.
Pour oil on everything. So people are just sucking in these calories, thinking it's good for them.
Olive oil, it's good for you.
Yeah, right. 120 calories per tablespoon.
Yeah,
Just eat
all the weight that I lost 0.9 pounds a day for that whole amount of time. That was my average. Cray Ray said was a teaspoon of olive oil an hour. That's what it ended up. That's what I was. All I had to cut out to what I lost. But the idea of the oil and cheese and all of that being there all the time, is there any advantage whatsoever to the like the cashew cheeses and stuff like that, or is that just as bad as dairy cheese?
No, they're much better. I mean, it's better to have the cashew cheeses and those nut-based cheeses. You can use it, and they're not going to taste maybe like the people to taste the flavor of the real cheese, but they're similar. And
It's
they
a
can be
texture thing, I think. For
I will tell
most
you,
folks.
I was at a, and this is horrendous, I suppose, but I decided just for kicks at, I think it was Real Food Daily in L.A. I usually have the bowl. They have a very plain bowl of just plain vegetables and rice and beans, and it's just perfect for them, and they grilled to pieces. But they also have other stuff on the menu.
Sure.
So I tried their vegan grilled cheese. It was really good. It was really, really good, but not healthy, right? Not in any way.
Probably still fried in butter, I would assume.
Well, some sort of oil.
Well, some of the cheeses are more greasy in there, than others, but some of the cashew cheeses are pretty decent.
Yeah.
So it all depends.
So you do some of that cheese, that nut cheese fake stuff?
Not over the years, but recently I've tasted them. Some of the new ones, I kind of like them.
Yeah.
So I've been using
they
a
don't
little
have
bit of
that. They don't have that. The vegan cheeses, even like a couple years ago,
Right.
Were not as
not as good as they are
as
today.
palatable.
Well, it feels like they've advanced. the vegan food equivalent has advanced significantly in the last few years.
Yeah.
And therefore, it seems like the fat vegan has also advanced significantly.
Yeah,
in the last few
exactly.
years.
Well, then we can. I guess we could speak. You may have something to say about the Impossible Burger. Do you know about this?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Not healthy at all. Is that correct?
I don't know, but it's it may help global warming. Who knows? I don't know.
So you like it ecologically speaking?
Maybe, sure. Maybe, people are going to eat meat anyway, but it may be better than having all these, taking down the rainforest to put more cattle ranches in to have more burgers.
Now, do you see any? You do see good news in the way diet's moving in America, right? It seems like we may have peaked out in how fat we're getting, and we may be on the other side of the slope. Do you see any sort of Steven Pinker optimism here? I mean, I know the rest of the world is doing terribly.
Right, we're exporting. We're still seeing, exporting American fast food industry to other countries. There's some improvement, but it's not. It's so slight that we're still seeing so many. As we know, we've talked about last time that there's such a large percent of our population, even in cities, that are eating most of their diet from fast food restaurants.
I know, it's astonishing.
And they're getting lower intelligence, very high rates of disease, high rates of obesity and diabetes, and it affects people's brain function. And it's just dangerous. So we're seeing a little bit of improvement, but the improvement is mostly in like the educated people. So most of my books sell best in areas of higher learning or in areas of the wealthier populations. You're still not seeing the South change their diet. You're still not seeing the urban areas make enough diet.
Well, I did
We're
read.
still seeing so much of the population suffering, and because of what they're eating. Terribly.
I didn't read all of Fast Food Genocide, but I read. I've been reading it the past few days, and it really is. It really is interesting how the idea of fast food is a socioeconomic issue.
It is so cheap.
Yeah, it's
It's
cheap.
so cheap.
Because
And
the food
because
lasts
it's
on the shelf.
subsidized.
It's subsidized, but also it lasts on the shelf forever. It doesn't go bad.
Yeah.
They can keep it. Doesn't like fresh vegetable produce is going to go bad. They have to throw away a lot of the stuff that could rot.
But what you also say in the book, which we haven't talked about here at all, we really should. The book's Fast Food Genocide, but your definition of fast food is not McDonald's, Burger King. it is those. But you also add. Talk about the stuff you add to that, because that's pretty startling.
Yeah, because anything that you can access fast, open it up and eat it fast. And it's usually processed, artificial ingredients, synthetic flavorings, salt, sugar, oil in there. There's a lot of things that people, they want to attract Americans to eat it. So we're talking about all these convenience foods out of bags and boxes. That includes cold breakfast cereals like Fruit Loops and these things.
Oh, yeah, you hate those.
Yeah.
You hate those cold breakfast cereals. But you're okay with oatmeal. Oatmeal's good.
Yeah, oatmeal and steel-cut oats, yeah.
I like oatmeal with some soy milk on it.
And I want people to put flaxseed.
Almond milk. I'm sorry.
I want people to put some flax seeds in there, or chia seeds in their oatmeal. Ground flax seeds or chia seeds, because they have such powerful effects against cancer. So don't have your oatmeal without the flax seeds or chia seeds in it. Then I'll open a bag of wild frozen blueberries and put the wild berries in the oatmeal too. So you're getting all these beneficial foods in with the oatmeal.
I also like to just take once in a while some flax seeds and just grind them up and drink them with a glass of water.
Really?
I like the way that feels.
Really?
From Jason Garfield, juggler, bodybuilder, vegan, said, "Why would you want to do that when you get you want to use that food as more food? You're just drinking it down. You don't get the fun of that. Mix it in with something." But I do like that occasionally. I do like the flax seeds. I like how grainy and seedy they taste. I like the taste of them.
What was it? You said flax, and what was the other one?
Chia seed. Like you make a chia seed pudding. That I could see putting into
chia pudding.
Yeah, the chia pudding's a little banana, a little vanilla in there, a little bit of chia seeds. If it swells up, it absorbs the water. You have a little it's almost like a
Tapioca.
Yeah, exactly. It's really good. So. A lot of great healthy things you can eat that taste so delicious. You really get we love these things, you know.
But you know, the most amazing change in my diet is that all the stuff that you push is hard to eat. Like you can't just pick it up. There's nothing like
the
jackfruit.
jackfruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what I miss on this kind of diet, and I've missed in the past, is like eating like beef jerky or something really hard to chew on, like a lamb chop or something. You know what I mean? So I take some extra firm tofu, and I slice it very thin, like a pizza, and I put it in my dehydrator with some tomato sauce on it, maybe a spicy tomato sauce, and I dehydrate it for 15 hours. It comes out like a rock. I could feed it to my dog like a bone, like a dog bone. You know? And I'll chew on that when I really feel it's this crunch, this hard-to-chew substance that I'm getting a work out of my mouth. And I like this feeling of just having some foods that are kind of made hard, like that you really have to work at.
But I love all sorts of beans and guacamole and that stuff. Yeah. But is there any sort of good tortilla type thing that is healthy enough?
Yeah, why don't you get those? You can buy in the health food store or Whole Foods. You can get those. They're corn tortillas with nothing. The only ingredient is organic corn
flour. Yeah,
they're made just flat, and they're very hardly even cooked. They're flexible.
Yeah.
And you just put them in the toaster oven on the lowest possible setting, so you just partially cook them, so they can still be bent a little bit. And you could break them up and cook and toast them a little more and make them into like chips, and they're pretty healthy. They're not baked, they're not fried. They're just almost raw rolled corn tortillas that you get at Whole Foods. You go to the health food store.
Yeah. I know. My wife she has some sort of tortilla. I don't think corn that she puts stuff in. Listen, that's
I'm not sure what your mind.
You want that handful of something.
I want a handful of food.
Yeah.
Once in a while, you want a handful of food.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I also miss. So I don't miss meat at all. That's just gone. I don't really miss very much, which surprises me. I don't miss very much the ice cream and the cakes and all of that, donuts. I don't miss those. But boy, do I miss bread. I do miss bread.
Yeah.
And there is no good bread, right? No matter how much whole grain
You don't
bread
like
you
the
do.
Ezekiel bread?
No, Ezekiel, I think there's some okay breads.
Really?
Yeah, like the Ezekiel Food for Life brand is like a sprouted grain that's very coarsely ground. It's pretty. They make the seeded breads. They make the sprouted breads. They have a lot of good stuff in there.
And those are also vegan.
Yeah, and they're sold at Whole Foods too, and in supermarkets. But also, there's a brand of bread called Manna breads. They're just like sprouted wheat pushed together, or sprouted grains pushed together into a loaf. They're kind of thick and heavy, but they're pretty healthy. And so, have you ever tried the Manna breads?
I haven't.
Oh, but you tried the Food for Life.
I think
Ezekiel breads.
I think so. I have tried.
Yeah,
Ezekiel.
they're pretty healthy.
What kind of Ezekiel tortillas, though? They're more like
they make those too, but they're in the frozen section. You can't get them.
Yeah, they're not fresh.
But if you let them defrost, when I travel,
Toast them.
I have a box of Ezekiel sesame bread in my hotel room. but I let defrost it. I'm just eating it and putting tomato, red onion, avocado, little of the dressing I brought with me from home, and and I brought some portobello mushrooms that were roasted in balsamic. So I made a sandwich with pesto, with my garlic nutter pesto.
What'd you call me? Oh, I thought it was fighting words. I don't like to be called nutter.
You fig vinegar.
You figgin'.
And what kind of is there for bread and butter? Is there any sort of little bit of oil you could put on your bread to give?
Well, that's why I used the garlic nutter. It's just like roasted garlic mixed with some blended with some cashews or cashew butter.
Roasted garlic.
You take roasted butter and cashew butter with a little hemp seeds mixed in with there, and you could put a little nutritional yeast in to give it a cheesy flavor.
I do like the nutritional yeast.
And if you want to put a little basil in there, you can turn it into like a pesto sauce. You put your bread on that. You put it on your bread, lightly toasted, then you throw on your avocado, your red onion, your tomato, your roasted portobello on there. And you take it on the plane with you. Put a little silver foil around it. It's like incredibly delicious. I make a bacon, lettuce, and tomato, where the bacon is like the dried out, dehydrated mushrooms. That's balsamic mushrooms and make into like a hard crispy. Where you dried out the mushrooms, and you put the lettuce and tomatoes and the stuff on there with a dressing. Tastes really great.
Yeah, I've taken and we all know. I mean, the big secret is that sweet potatoes are just butterscotch pudding.
Yes, sweet potatoes taste great. Yeah. You can eat them raw too.
Yeah,
shred them raw.
The new thing is the sweet potato toast. Have you been doing that?
What's this?
You cut the sweet potato like it's bread.
Yes.
Put it in the oven for like 20 minutes.
My wife's been doing that.
And you pop it in the toaster.
Yeah.
And you just put avocado and sweet potato. Just plain. It was awesome.
There's a purple Hawaiian sweet potato that is just unbelievable.
I didn't like that.
You didn't like that?
I had the purple Hawaiian
with
sweet
you?
potato.
Fight.
It owes me money. I don't like it. I like a regular straight up sweet potato.
All right.
I'd like it. And is there any sort of? My wife got this brown rice pasta, where the only ingredient in the pasta is brown rice.
Don't recommend it.
You know why is that?
I want people to eat bean pasta, soy, black pasta, lentil pasta, edamame pasta. There's all types of pastas that are great out there today. The edamame pasta tastes fantastic.
So you do not recommend the brown rice pasta?
Because the Consumer Reports reported that there's too much arsenic in brown rice grown in America and China today. They're using arsenic-laced fertilizers based on chicken manure, and the brown rice itself sucks up arsenic. The covering of the brown rice, this hull, almost more than any other food.
So you don't eat much brown rice?
No, I eat more lentils and I eat more other grains, quinoa.
No.
You were breaking my heart.
I am a brown
cutting
rice
back
fool.
on brown rice.
I am a brown rice fool.
Well, you got to get your brown rice from a source has no arsenic in it. You got to get clean brown rice. You can afford it. You can buy it. You can afford to buy the better brown rice that costs.
I can't. But what is it?
Maybe he'll give it to us. Maybe Penn will sell.
I probably can't. But
brown rice scraps.
The brand.
I have a Tesla.
Yeah,
if you have a Tesla, you can have brown rice. What do you look for on the label that says brown rice is good?
I buy it from the Moose Lake Rice Company because they instead of growing it, they take wild rice that grows in marshes in southern Canada and northern Minnesota, and they have guys taking with canoes with sticks, knocking it off the plants to growing wild in the marshes. So it's really truly wild rice.
I wonder if I can get that job. I could do that. I could hit sticks.
Only Godot would hear that description.
Yeah.
I want that job.
I can do that.
He's the only one.
I'm good at that. I can hit things.
Moose Lake?
Moose Lake Rice Company. But of course, it's like $5 a pound for rice or $6 a pound instead of 50 cents a pound. You got to pay 10 times as much money for the rice, of course.
Okay, because the guys with a stick.
Exactly. You're paying for a lot. You think I'm going to go canoe out there for nothing?
Canoe rental.
There's mosquitoes out
there. And
there.
if that guy loses a stick, it goes to $6 a pound.
Why is this rice $6 a pound? Lost a stick.
Yeah, you got a new stick.
Hey, you don't want to pay $6 a pound? I got an idea for you. Suck on frozen artichokes.
You fig vinegar.
Yeah, you fig vinegar. You suck on frozen artichokes. And then there's a fist fight. Are there going to be any time in the near future a chain of restaurants that opens that's really going to deliver good food? I know that Real Food Daily in LA, other places, has some food that is completely Fuhrman.
Right. So I think what you're right is that you can probably go to some restaurants that'll have some choices on the menu that would be nutritarian friendly, but not a lot of restaurants are totally nutritarian, because then you're going to exclude other people who want to eat regular food, and it's hard for the restaurant to make a living.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you can always see. So I'm seeing that right now, obviously.
Are there any places you can mention? I mean, there's Real Food Daily, which I love.
Well, there's some strict nutritarian restaurants that are doing well.
Really?
Yeah, there's the Pyramid Bistro in Aspen, Colorado, right off Main Street in Aspen. There's actually what's it called? Nourish on the Google campus. It was one of the Google restaurants. All the Google leaders are nutritarians, so they want to have the restaurant right on the space on their spots that serve nutritarian foods.
We have a spot we go to here in Vegas. What's the name?
Panavino.
Panavino.
Yes. I noticed there's a new place, a fast food restaurant in Vegas now that's serving nutritarian food. They gave me their card and their brochure.
Is it Flower Child?
I don't remember it.
Flower Child has a lot of vegan stuff, but it's a lot of oily and salty.
Yeah.
Veggie Nation here in town has started to offer, it'll have the menu item and they'll offer an oil-free version of the item.
Yeah.
Right.
That's on the menu.
Yeah.
Soon you'll be able to pay more to get fewer calories.
But it's worth the dough.
worth that?
Oil is the craziest fucking thing, man. It just is.
People think it's health food.
Yeah, they do.
Think oil's
The
health
olive
food.
oil
They've been
thing is
drinking it.
crazy.
Or the coconut oil.
Coconut oil.
Coconut oil.
It's fucking up the vegans, and it's just crazy. As soon as it's in your system, it's just like when you realize, it just fucks it all up.
That's Matt Donnelly hating oil.
That's good. That's
Stupid
great.
oil.
People are always.
No, because I put weight back on being a fat vegan. That's why I'm so angry.
Right, they're always arguing how oil is healthy, but look, compare the results when you eat walnuts versus walnut oil, sesame seeds versus sesame oil, pistachio nuts versus oil. You get 1/3 the
There's
calories.
pistachio oil?
Yeah.
Now.
No, don't do it. Get that expensive rice instead.
And so you know that the oil has a complete different biological effect. It's absorbed 100% efficiency. The nuts and seeds, you lose nutrients, they pass through you.
Right.
But then, because the oil is absorbed so rapidly in the bloodstream, it spikes dopamine receptors in the brain because of the caloric rush, and it signals fat storage hormones, and it makes you more insulin resistant. So when you're having anything with any kind of carbohydrate with it, you get more insulin response, you get more glycemic response from the carbohydrate you're eating. Oil just has a whole discombobulates your system, which doesn't happen when you eat the whole food form, because the calories and the fats are absorbed so slowly over hours compared to rushing in the oil immediately.
Now we're gonna finish up very shortly, Dr. Fuhrman. So there are people listening who are already on board, already gone through my book Presto, already done a lot of this. But there's also
Bought all 6 of his bestsellers.
all 6, all 3 of mine. But there are other people that listen for the other stuff we talk about. Maybe you're more interested in the atheism we talk about, or the juggling that Godot's always talk about. And if you're asked, you must be asked this all the time. I'm sure you have a pat answer, but I want to hear it. Guy says, I'm eating a standard American diet. I haven't got the inclination right now to make a huge change. What are the small changes someone can make to just start getting a little bit healthier? I mean, do you have a simple starter kit for going toward Fuhrman?
I can give you the answer almost in 60 seconds.
Go ahead.
That if you would just change your breakfast and lunch, we could almost cut cancer rates in America in half. We could change heart attack rates crazy just from changing breakfast and lunch. All you got to do is have a big salad and a bowl of vegetable bean soup for lunch with a piece of fruit. So easy. A giant salad. You make the vegetable bean soup on the weekend and a piece of fruit for lunch. People just, because they eat mostly the lunch is the worst meal of the day. They eat out of the house, at work, tempted by things in their work environment, and they're eating junk food. And for breakfast is so easy. It could be fruit. We could have an oatmeal with flax seeds and berries in it. And how can it be so hard to have fruit and berries and oats and some healthy thing for breakfast and eat a healthy lunch? If people just did that, we'd almost revolutionize the healthcare system in America.
Just that.
Just
change your breakfast and lunch.
Right. Just have a big salad and a bowl of vegetable bean soup or a chili for lunch with a piece of fruit for dessert.
Now, people may not know what you mean by big salad.
Or chili.
When I have a big salad, it's that big.
The salad's the main dish.
It's a half a basketball.
And you put a half a cup to a cup of beans on top of the salad if you're not going to have beans in the soup. And then you have some, nut and seed-based dressing. You have the shredded onion. You have the little cruciferous on the salad, like a little cabbage or a little arugula. And you and you toss that salad and you eat with a nice, delicious dressing. You have a nice bowl of hearty soup that's not that hard to do. You can buy it pre-made, but you can also make a giant pot for the whole family on the weekend where you all make it together and you put it in various containers and you have it made for the whole week. This is not that hard to do, those two things, and it could change your health destiny.
And also, after, I don't know what you think is the magic number is, but for me, 3 months of not being particularly easy to eat this kind of diet, and then it becomes absolutely second nature.
Exactly. You're right on the money, because you know why? That's when you go to drug addiction centers. They put you in a drug facility for 3 months. That's what it takes to change addiction and get your cravings to go down. I have a facility I'm going to open up in a few months where people can come in and live there for 3 months and eat right to get rid of their food addictions.
Where are you going to open that?
Right now I'm negotiating to purchase a property in San Juan Capistrano. It's in Orange County, California. And I'm going to have a beautiful house where people can come in a beautiful setting, live there for 2 to 3 months, lose 40, 50 pounds, drop, get rid of your food addictions, learn how to make delicious recipes, and leave there after they counseled about their addiction and change. But you're right, just like drug addiction, it takes time for people to change their behavior, get rid of their cravings, and to really have their taste buds change.
That sounds like a Godot job if I ever heard.
I'm going to be off hitting rice. I can't do it.
You got your canoe.
I got a canoe.
But I think that sounds fun. Like, I like that.
Yeah.
I think tackling that seriously means something.
Well,
and the empowerment part means something. It's.
I should also say that I get all of this credit for having lost the weight and keeping it off, and people are very kind what they say to me. But my wife, before I met her, was very interested in cooking, really smart and very, very low. I mean, when we first got together and she wanted to cook me food, it was very, very difficult because I ate so differently than what she wanted naturally. And since then, she prepares a different meal that's Fuhrman.
It's ridiculous. She sends me photos every day.
It is fantastic.
It
is fantastic.
And I have.
That's why you married her.
I've eaten. No, that wasn't actually. Probably won't say why that was, but the food is different every night. It is so easy and nutritious and wonderful for me to eat that it really, really makes it so simple for me. I mean, if everybody had this food available, I mean, if there were a McDonald's for the same price with the same bag that delivered you that, everybody would eat like this instantly.
Yeah.
And this diet would be much, much cheaper than fast food if our government was not subsidizing corn syrup so ridiculously.
Right.
And cheese.
And cheese.
Cheese is heavily subsidized, right?
And that makes it, that throws off the free market tremendously, so you don't have a chance. Because fruit, vegetables, the diet you recommend is not an expensive diet.
No, there's nothing more costly than being sick, unable to work. And there's nothing more treacherous to your family than you being sick, so they have to care for you and take care of you instead of living their life. They're taking you to the nursing home, they're taking you to doctors, they're dealing with your medical conditions. Instead of living their own life and enjoying themselves, your kids have to take care of you. The point is that you have a responsibility to take care of yourself, for yourself, but for your loved ones and for your community.
And that's why, brothers and sisters, suck on frozen artichokes.
Yeah, for all I care.
That was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School.
Cha-cha-cha.
And to our listening ears,
You become naked.
sang and round us rang the music of the spheres.
And I guess we should say that Joel's book is Fast Food Genocide, but you always want to go back to the earlier books. What's it? Eat to Live.
Eat to Live. Right.
Eat to Live is the book where everything starts. Eat to Live. That's the book.
The one with the recipes.
The one with the recipes.
Yeah, they all have recipes.
Sunday School.
Yeah. Thank you.